y'all? I'm Steve with Elev8, and we got a really cool Elev8 with Eon Glass. It's really neat how they got this couple thing going on as one super artist. Really awesome. I'm really excited to get into this one. Really quickly, I want to mention as well, we need your help. We have Elev8 dolls and Elev8 gents. Check it out. It's a really neat way to help us grow. Don't forget, we also got Elev8 veterans. It's a really cool program we got where you get to help out some veterans. Anyways, let's get into this Elev8 with Eon Glass. So we got Elev8 today with Eon Glass, and it's Ian and Nadia, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having us, man.
Yeah, appreciate being here.
Yeah, so my question is, as a collaborative team, how did you both get into this and start working together as a group?
So I was kind of just looking for a job, I guess. I had just gotten, let's see, out of some legal trouble, we'll say, when I was around 23, 24. And I was walking around looking for some jobs, and I seen that there was a pipe shop down on the east side of Milwaukee. So I
Milwaukee, right on.
Yeah. So I went in and kind of seen how they were doing things, asked if they needed any help around the shop, and then kind of got my foot in the door that way. And then about 3 years later, maybe 2 years, I met Nadia and stopped working with those guys, and we started doing our own thing. She was doing cross stitchings at the time, and I was like, we have to figure out how to convert this into glass. Like, this is a necessity.
Hell yeah. And then how did you get into this, Nadia?
Well, I met Ian in late 2008, like early 2009, I think it was. And yeah, I've always been into art. I've been in art all throughout school my entire life and stuff. And then he wanted to see how we could apply that to glass. And it was beneficial for me because when I was doing cross stitching, like I wasn't able to keep any of my own work and sell it. So now it's like, it's the best of both worlds.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. So that was 2008 you guys started doing this together.
Yeah, about there.
Yeah.
Man, so that's a minute. You guys are OGs in this industry.
Started dating around that time. I think she started working actually around 2013.
Yeah, around 2013, 2014 is when I started actually doing millies. And before then, Ian was building up his own studio and like getting himself like fully established.
Well, so I have a question here. Since you guys are a couple and whatnot, how do you find working together as your relation? Do you find it's kind of stressful? Do you guys separate in your works, or you guys are just
we're like, I think we're an exception to like the couples rule, you know, like we prefer to be around each other as much as possible. And even after almost 12 years of being together, it's still like that, where we're just like, I'd much rather sit next to her than anybody else pretty much, you know, and like get some work done than,
we keep each other motivated.
Yeah. That's beautiful. That's awesome. I love it.
Sometimes you need that person to sort of like give you that little like
it's that like
get going.
inner voice that somebody else has for you, you know, like they need you to be crushing it at any given time, so you got to be on top of it, you know.
Yeah,
right.
Appreciate having somebody there that like helps me out too.
Hell yeah, that's really awesome. That's cool as hell. And then how did you guys get your name for this, for Eon Glass? It feels like maybe it's Ian and Nadia combined.
Actually, I mean, it worked out that way pretty much, but I was apprenticing for Devin Somerville, Captain Crunk at the time, and we were just kind of brainstorming names one day, and he's like, yeah, I think this one fits. And I was like, yeah, let's do it, man.
Hell yeah, fresh. That's nice. And then what items did you start out with blowing in glass? Was it pendants? Was it pipes? Or?
Yeah, I've always been into like pipe making. It's been the like driving force for me, I guess. When I first started, it was like a lot of chillums and spoons and inside out work, a lot of little stuff. Like from there, after about 3 or 4 years of like doing my own thing, I met Devin Somerville, Captain Crunk, and we just started working together. I started making a lot of his prep during my apprenticeship, and like that pretty much pushed me into the millie world.
Yeah, I noticed the millies that you do, and they're just remarkable. Like, holy mackerels, man! The images,
Yep.
the shadowing and everything to them, like holy shit.
Yeah, so a lot of that actually is stacked by Nadia nowadays. She does 99% of the stacking, and with each one, I'd say she's getting more and more spot on with her image.
And then, so do you pull the stringers down, break them down, and then she stacks it?
Yeah, we pull them
We do it all
together.
together.
We do a lot of like everything is pretty much like half and half. So she does like the stacking, and then I do all of like the hot stuff, and then a lot of the cold working too. So I'd say it's a pretty fair mix, 50-50 there.
That's fresh. That's neat that you can find a thing like that to just make your life just the way it needs to be.
Yeah.
So did you have a mentor when you were starting? You were talking about Captain Crunk.
Yeah.
Did you have any other mentors, or was he a major mentor of yours?
So there's a glassblower who lives now in Sussex, Wisconsin. His name is Art Dexter. He was pretty much like my mentor at first. And then from there was a guy that was working in the same shop named Dirty that I kind of took a liking to. He was an interesting fellow there for sure. And then after working with those guys for a couple of years, it was time to move on.
Right on. And then, all right. And then did you get some mentoring as well, Nadia, or has Ian been the?
Ian's been my main mentor. I mean, I've gone to shows and I've watched other people work, and there are people like who I admire and stuff, but I haven't really gotten much of an opportunity to like take any classes or anything from anybody else. So it's pretty much just been Ian and like us figuring our own stuff out as we go.
That's the fun of it, though. And Ian, have you taken any classes? And if you have taken classes, do you feel they pushed your level forward, and do you recommend them?
Yeah, so I've taken the Camp Wanna Make a Heady class with Banjo and Joe P a couple years back.
Yeah.
And, the people, like just the group of people that they had attending the class alone, like all of those people were super inspirational. Like, I don't even know, like the list is so big to even try and like list off a couple names. I would butcher it, but basically anybody who attended that class is a huge inspiration to me. I would say, yes, classes definitely help. They've helped my work. They make understanding things from a different viewpoint, like more understandable, I guess. You can break things down in micro steps when somebody's already done it and they're explaining it to you. So I would definitely recommend taking as many classes as you can take when you're first starting out.
Hell yeah. Have you been given the opportunity to give classes?
I tend to be pretty private. So I have an apprentice. He is here working like possibly 2 days out of the week. But other than that, we've talked about it multiple times, doing classes and stuff, but it just hasn't fallen into our laps yet. And I'm not really like out there trying to grind for that, you know?
Yep. And some people like it, some don't. And your art is phenomenal. So, I mean, putting the pressure into there, time seems to be working out.
Yeah. I mean, it's nice to focus on your own work, like a majority of the time, but we do feel like we need to give back to our environment and our peers eventually. So.
Oh yeah. Well, it sounds like you're doing that now, bringing on an apprentice. And I mean, you know, Nadia's gone under your wing, and together you're flying around. And
yeah.
So hell yeah.
We're trying here.
Yeah. Where do you get the inspiration for your creativity in glass? Do you each have your own and then work on there? Do you come together and grow from it?
I think it's a good combination of both. I think Ian has his own inspirations when it comes to functional work and doing his square millies and stuff like that. And then like we come together to like come up with ideas for our actual stringer stacks. And we, for the most part, we work together when it comes to the stringer stacks.
But a couple of the like concepts that we try to stay true to are like, how does this person we're going to be like making an image of, like, how do they relate to the smoking industry or like the cannabis industry, or like, you know, like they have to have that certain tie to it for us to even be interested in doing that person.
Right on. So if somebody wants a milli of somebody that has nothing to do with this industry, somebody else can do that, is what you're
Well, I
saying.
mean, that might be a little different. So like our personal millies, the ones we choose to do and like put out, like that's like our way of kind of being like, these people are part of our industry and they are inspirational and you might not even know about them or their artwork. So like pay attention a little bit, you know, like expand your view. But as far as customs are concerned, like we tend to be a little bit more lackadaisy on that concept when we're doing customs.
But when it's come to you, you're projecting a symbol out there. This is the industry. These are people that helped us. Check them out and let's grow as a community. That's cool.
You were asking earlier about people who inspire us, and I think you can see a little bit of that in just the people that we've done portraits of too.
No doubt. I mean, obviously, if they didn't mean something to you, you ain't picking them. What's your preferred style and technique? That you each have a different one, I assume.
Yep. So for me, I would say milli in general, just like any milli, but square milli, I try to stay like tile pattern or whatever you guys want to call it nowadays. I try to focus on that.
All right.
From, you know, the crump camp and whatnot.
And then yours?
I love milli. I like stacking millis.
Milli.
Yeah.
Stringer stacking, it's a little bit time consuming and it can feel a little bit tedious at times, but by the time I finish like getting an image done, it's super rewarding.
How I guess how long does it take to make a basic image from scratch, from pulling down the color to getting the picture to putting it in there to sucking it down? That's a big process.
Yeah, it does take a while. So prep for it generally takes about 20 to 30 hours. And then stacking will take anywhere from like 100 to 300 hours, depending.
Holy shit.
Yeah, and then pulling it down is pretty much the quickest process, and that's where everything can go wrong the fastest. So we tend to be pretty on point when we're doing that. She'll do 2 millis normally. We call them snickle fritz. So like we'll do a snickle fritz milli first and pull that down. It's normally like a spiral. And then that'll kind of like get me in the zone where I'm like, all right, I did that really good. I need to focus on this area a little bit better on the next run. Like, and
there's also a lot of setup when it comes to pulling down each milli. So like if we have that like practice milli to pull down before the actual more detailed one, we kind of get everything set up and ready in the process. Mm-hmm. So it's like a little bit more just like cut and go when we're actually getting the image done.
Yeah.
Have you done that before where you got, 200-300 hours into the milli and then you pull and it's just like, fuck?
Yeah. It's happened a couple of times. So one time it happened on the very, very first milli we ever did. I closed off both ends of the milli and it like kind of like the air expanded inside it and it blew up like a balloon. And I just tried pulling it down anyways. And there's like this big ass hole in the face. It was horrible, man. She had to like restack it.
I hate to laugh, but I've fucked shit up like that.
One of those things where you like, it's a growing pain, so
we
like.
We can laugh about it now, but when it happened, we weren't so happy.
And then the other time, I don't know if it was a color I was using or what, but every time I went to cut into this cane, it would just crumble. Like it was just like destroying itself. It looked perfectly fine, like looking at it, like either way you looked, but the second it got like frustrated with the saw, it just gone.
Wow. So you couldn't even put it back in the kiln to try to get it to work or do anything. It was just
So I think it was,
nasty.
yeah, it was like possibly something to do with the colors. So I'm guessing it was like,
Green?
it was a blue Stardust actually, and it was right next to like some black and white. So I'm wondering if like the mix of the black and white next to each other, along with that blue Stardust, like the sparkle colors, kind of just all like
Too many stress
perfect
points.
equation, you know, to kind of piss itself off.
Yep. And you found it.
Yes.
On the next one, when you redid it, did you use the same color combination or you did tweak it?
So that was a different Millie, but we did the Andy Warhol the first time when it blew up like a balloon, and we actually had to remake that for our first artist series. So
Oh yeah.
Andy Warhol that everybody has is actually Andy Warhol V2.
Um, did you have any periods in your career where you kind of shift focus from something? Say you were mostly making just millie, but then you made pendants all of a sudden for whatever reason.
Yeah, so I just quit, but I have been focusing on scientific glass blowing for the last year and a half.
Okay.
Pretty much during the entire coronavirus, like I got a job as a scientific glass blower and like worked it out, and then like Corona started ending and I was like, fuck this shit, you know, kind of deal. So I mean, it's fantastic, it's great, don't get me wrong, but there are different people in that industry compared to our industry, and the freedoms that you're allowed for us in, you know, like just being able to wake up, blow glass, kick it with a homie, then get back to it or whatever, you know, like
Being in a corporate environment was definitely a lot different than like being comfortable and in your own space and like feeling like you can
the
work
structure to
on
that
your own
is just,
means.
it's extreme, you know, and like we're not that structured, so it's been interesting. But yeah, so like scientific glass blowing, I've focused on sculpture. I tend to try and like be like as broad as possible, but I only show like maybe a couple of directions that I want to portray.
All right. And is that because you feel those directions you really, really refined and the other ones you're working on?
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. I like that. Yeah, that is definitely one way of looking at it. I've dedicated, man, thousands of hours to millies. So like for me to kind of stop or like take a different direction would be like selling myself short, I think, in that realm.
Right. But as you gain more skills, I'm sure the scientific really intricacies of certain welds and shit, I'm sure that really helped expand. And then with the milli work, you can always bring in.
Yeah, absolutely. So like that was something that I was really happy and excited about once like the scientific doors started opening for me. Like I was really excited to get back in my own studio, you know, like what can I do with this? What are the possibilities, you know, and sort of rabbit hole myself.
Yeah, I love the rabbit hole. It's fucking glass, right?
That is it.
What's your favorite color to work with?
Huh. There's so many old colors that aren't really around anymore, but I'd say a lot of the like blues, or man, those new colors that are coming out nowadays are pretty hot too. But I'm sort of like a palette guy, you know, like with Millie, I need multiple colors and like everything to flow together. So I think it's like hard answer, I guess, you know, like.
Do you prefer, since you are a lot into millies, do you prefer more of the cadmium colors or
yeah. So like I'll eat cadmiums for breakfast, man. Like I've got a drawer right now, maybe like 50 or 60 pounds, and we're always looking for more cadmiums, like off colors and like
right,
just a shade different from this one so that I have that like mix, you know. So I'm a hound for crayon.
With that, do you feel lately with all the new NeoCads and how everything's changing that the actual cadmium color palette, have you noticed that has had a almost dramatic like change?
Yeah, so for milli making, it's we need like as saturated color as possible. So it was a little interesting to see all these like new variations of colors coming out that are like more clear mixed in with them. But it does add like a new fresh taste to the colors that we've been working with for a long time too. So I see no like negative impact to it, to be honest. But I am definitely like an old school crayon guy, you know, like give me that stuff that's gonna boil the second you throw it in the flame. I know how to use all those colors. So like,
and they were so dense.
yeah, exactly. And like that's the one thing though, you know, like that's where a lot of my time went into also, is like trying to figure out how to make these colors as perfect as possible, pulled down to the thinnest micron I can get it to, you know.
Right. And that's it with those the millis that you're putting, the detail has to come from pulling such fine stringers.
Yeah, I'd say we tend to have somewhere around 5,000 to 7,000 strings in each milli, but it could probably go up from there.
Wow. So these are probably as small, probably under a millimeter almost.
Yeah,
almost
they're for
as
sure under a millimeter. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. And then what color don't you like? What color are you saying you guys should take that away?
So like a lot of the greens, obviously those old greens from the like 2000s era where they had a shitload of chrome in them, or like anything like that, I try to stay away from. Let's see, what colors?
When we're pulling stringers, whenever we get to white, we're like, all right, here's white. Like, but it's like one of those colors that like we're always gonna need. So it's like no matter what, we have to do it.
It's just difficult for our needs, because I use star white for a lot of our stuff, and like star white tends to be kind of grainy. And when you pull it down to like such a fine like thickness, like you're like attaching grains to itself, you know, like it's pretty thin.
Wow.
So the other colors pulled down to the thickness that we do. Yeah.
So for white is your, or star white's your favorite white to use in millis probably?
Yeah, I mean, it holds up, but we do use, like, I would say 95% of our color palette tends to be glass alchemy.
Okay.
So, we use a lot of the like their white too, but the North Star white just tends to hold up a little better to the flame.
Right on. That's neat. What's the most difficult piece you've ever attempted? Maybe individually and then together as a group.
So I would say working with like homies, or it's always like push yourself moments, you know, like when you're collabing with people, you definitely want to bring your A game, and like you don't want to like let anything stupid get in the way. So I don't know if there's any one specific, but I would say like collabing is probably, that's like where you got to be on point.
Yeah.
And together,
I think the collab that we did with Steve Bamey, the Salvador Dali, really was probably one of our most like difficult that we've done so far.
I agree with her actually right there too, for sure. The Salvador Dali milli was crazy. I had to like mount the milli that Steve had sent us inside of a stack, and then we had to stack around it. And at that point he had pulled it down and worked it maybe 3 or 4 times, so like the color wasn't like, it wasn't
fragile.
Yeah, it wasn't like perfect, so we had to like really baby that milli and make sure that it came out. That was,
and just
that
for
was a
me,
really
it
hard
was
one.
a completely different experience, like stacking around like an image like that. I'd only ever done like something like that where I'm stacking around an actual like hand-drawn millie once before when we did the glass roots millie. But even then I was stacking off of a flat like section of text, so it wasn't as intricate as stacking around like a 3D figure of a head.
Right. So you have something in there and you're trying to stack around it and know the colors that are around there to get it so it matches.
Yeah.
Wicked. Right. And then that's another thing that you mentioned too. People might not know that the more you work a color, put it in the kiln, bring it out and whatnot, it changes. I know, like Hyacinth, you put that in the kiln and run it 4 or 5 times, it goes from purple to gray. And, and there's a lot, like you said, that millie started to get real brittle. And
Yep. It definitely changes the COE a little bit or something. I don't know, just the colors break down. But yeah, that was a fun one though. That like working with Steve is always a pleasure, and the way that he like works is phenomenal. So praises to him.
hell yeah. I was going to say, do you collaborate often? And it sounds like you guys together are constantly in full collaboration, as well as working with a lot of other people. So it's just a collaboration world for you, for both of you.
Yeah, so like
It's always a pleasure to work with other people.
I love having input on my work from close friends and family. So it's been really nice. It's like super helpful to have Nadia here and be like, no, I don't really like that color, or like, nah, what about this color combination? And most of the time when I ask her, she'll be on point. So it's helpful.
That's nice. And that's what you appreciate, not the, oh, you're doing a great job, everything's
Oh,
great.
exactly. Yeah. I want to be told if I'm fucking shit up, you know? So
nice. Have you guys ever competed in any events separately or together?
I don't know. I'm not a huge competitive kind of glass guy. I've thought about it, but it seems like that's like the like realm for people that love doing that, you know, like I'm not good at like being on the spot and kind of just being like perform and getting something done. But I would try it. I'd love to try it actually, but it's intimidating.
Yeah,
maybe I call it competing, but the Dolly Millie that we did with Steve won the World Series of Glass in Las Vegas for best Millie.
hell yeah. So there's a competition.
Yeah, I guess.
Nice. And do you guys consume cannabis yourself?
Yes, every day.
Do you prefer flower, concentrates, edibles, or you just love the plant?
I love the plant. We tend to kind of do everything, but our preferred method is dabbing. So
All right.
I like
Do you-
edibles.
Do you prefer using your own rigs, or do you actually collect other people's and use their rigs while you're consuming cannabis?
So I do have a collection of like rigs from friends and homies and people that I look up to, but we tend to smoke out of our own work.
Are they like a typical blowers, a damaged piece, or are they your prized joys?
Maybe. But we've got some pride and joys sitting around, but my daily driver is probably.
I think I have a decent collection throughout the years of ones that I've just sort of been like, no, I like this one.
Yeah, sure, do that. But yeah, I mean, we got a couple. We got some chill ones though. I don't tend to keep my super headies to smoke out of or anything.
Nice. Do you guys have any hobbies outside of glass?
Yeah, so I love disc golfing. I take my dogs out almost like every day. So like, you know, there's that.
We have a lot of animals, so they take up a lot of time.
In our downtime, we tend to kind of relax with like video games or movies too.
Yeah.
So there's that.
I really like making like all natural body products and stuff. Like I make lip balm and body balm and bath bombs and stuff like that too. Just like a hobby project on the side.
She makes awesome like beeswax like based lip balm though, and like every glass blower I've ever given it to has raved about it. So if you guys see us at a show, try it.
Nice. Yeah, we'll have to get some of that stuff.
Yeah.
Do you do any of your cross stitching anymore, or did you give that up?
I do it a little bit here and there. I definitely don't like back before we were doing glass, it was something that I would do like a lot when we're just sitting around watching TV and stuff, or like when we're relaxing with the dogs at the end of the night. But like nowadays it's more of like a passion project that like I'll go to occasionally and be like, oh, I really want to do this, or I've been thinking about this little project for a couple of years now. So
Oh yeah. What can we look forward to in the future from y'all?
So we have, yeah, more Millie for sure. We have a solo piece that we're gonna hopefully getting done in the next month or two, and then we have another collab coming up with Firefly, and then hopefully from there we'll have some more solo work.
Yeah.
Nice. Do you still find you have the same love and passion today as when you first started glass?
I think now it's a lot more calculated, where like when I first started out, I wanted to have the skills. I wanted to be able to like be on the levels. So like the 12-hour days, the 14-hour days, like those were all the time, like constantly. And now they've slowed down to where I'm like 8-hour days and relaxing a little bit, you know, like normal human functions sort of, instead of just being like a machine to try and learn to blow glass, you know, like, but yes, I think it's the same level of passion. It's just taken more of a calculated like path where we're more like precise with what we do, and we're not like shooting in the dark. We're like, is this gonna work? Is that gonna work? Let's try this.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. And then do you have any shout outs or anything you want to add to this?
Shout out to my guy Firefly, Steve Bamey. Who else we got in there? My apprentice Dave.
All the amazing color that we use.
Yes, thank you to Glass Alchemy, North Star, Greasy Glass, Molten Aura. A lot of these guys dedicate their lives to just making base colors for us to figure out our work. So thank you guys.
Hell yeah. And what's the best place to follow you guys to engage with y'all? Would it be Instagram?
Probably Instagram or Facebook. Eon Glass on Instagram. Facebook is Ian Marrero. We're posting in Maca a lot of the times. I have an artist page too, so you can find that.
All right, fresh. Well, I want to say thank you, both of you, so much for joining us today, and it was a pleasure to get to meet y'all and find out more.
Yeah, it was our pleasure, man. Thanks again.
Thanks for having us.
All right, y'all have a kick-ass day.
See ya.
Well, that was cool hanging with Ian and Nadia. Just seeing how they work together and all that stuff. It's inspiring. It's really cool, and things are possible where you can actually have a relationship and work with that person. Probably the most best way you can do that. Just a really solid life. It's really awesome watching how they interact and just getting to know them. Blew my mind. I love it. Also, I want to say, we got Elev8 Veterans, which is our 501c3. Check it out. It's a really cool way to help the veterans that have helped you out. Also, we got Elev8 brand ambassadors, Elev8 Dolls and Elev8 Gents, and we need your help. So go check it out. And there's a lot of cool things you can do to help us out, as well as help yourself in the community. Anyways, Elev8, mind, body, spirit.